Hello and welcome. Oh gosh, it's so cold here. Let me just show you the temperature. It is Monday the 18th of December and at the moment -3, if you can see that, -3, and it's going to go down to -4, but then when it gets to evening it's going to get even colder, so it's certainly getting very cold here in South Korea. Hopefully my battery will last. I've got a few batteries included in my little backpack, but I thought I'd share a video today talking about perhaps some of the interesting aspects that I've learned whilst I've arrived in South Korea from August 2023 compared to when I first arrived in Korea in December 2005, all those years ago. And this is going to be just one of those videos that's going to take a while. I appreciate your patience. You don't need to stick around for this video, but it's entirely up to you, and I appreciate you tuning in, and thank you ever so much. On a side note, you may have noticed that my YouTube channel has evolved into Seoul Foreigner, a play of words with Seoul, the capital city of Korea, and also being by myself alone in a foreign country that is South Korea. But anyway, I'm currently in a park near an apartment complex, and you may hear the traffic behind me. There's some traffic behind me, and also on the other side behind me, just here, we've got some exercise equipment. I love parks in Korea because they have these free exercise machines that people can use, and I'm going to put my gloves on before they freeze off. Oh, there we are. Yes, it's certainly getting very cold, but let me just show a few things around here. And as you may have noticed, this park is really set up for children from this apartment complex behind me. And also one thing that I noticed is that if you are into Korean dramas and movies and that sort of thing, obviously the big one was Squid Game or Jenga Game, and there's the layout for kids to play at with the traditional Korean game of Squid Game on the ground. So you may see this element here, quite a new or a unique aspect of Korean culture. Anyway, my background to Korea really originated back in 2002, and 2002 was one of those years which a lot changed for me. And I did start off with leaving my job back in 2002 in September, and starting my education in the UK. And prior to starting my education, obviously I got married in July, and I ended up getting married to a Korean who fell in love with and wanted to spend the rest of my life with, and it was great. It was great to be with her, and we've been together ever since. And so my first introduction to Korea was back in July 2002, with many things happening behind the scenes other than just getting married, but leaving my job, becoming a full-time student, and that was my first introduction to Korea and Korean culture. Obviously never been married before, just been married the once, still married happily. And I knew nothing about this unique and fascinating culture. And I then decided to learn as much as I could about Korea, South Korea, the history, the culture, every element of it was fascinating to me, and I wanted to learn more and more about my wife's background. And once I graduated from university in 2005, I moved to South Korea. I looked for a job. I couldn't find a job at that time, and I was searching for 6 months once I graduated. And in December 2005, my wife and I, including my very young son at the age of almost 2 years old, we all decided to move to Korea and settle down. Let me move over here, but apologies for the traffic. And I moved into a small little countryside called Ansong in Gyeonggi-do, near Pyeongtaek. The only thing that I knew about Pyeongtaek was sorry, it's getting really noisy. I'm going to move back to where I was. I've got to keep moving, otherwise my hands will freeze off. The only thing that I knew about Pyeongtaek at the time was the army base, and they didn't necessarily have such a positive, welcoming atmosphere. The Koreans didn't necessarily have cordial relationships with the local army base. Anyway, moved to Korea, got a job at a small hagwon teaching English to a variety of students, young kids basically. No teaching experience, no qualifications to teach apart from my undergraduate degree, and that was it. That's all I had. And when it came down to teaching, I just dived into teaching. I enjoyed it as much as I could. I read as much as I could on teaching, done a course, etc. after 12 months and everything else like that. Then, during that time whilst I was teaching, I wanted to learn as much as I could about the Korean language and culture, and I ended up teaching myself Hangul, how to read and write Hangul, and it's everywhere. If you're going to be driving in South Korea, you'll see Hangul everywhere. If you go to restaurants, all the menus are in Korean. Sometimes they're in English, but not always the case. Anyhow, I was taught how to read and write by myself Hangul, and it took a while, and we ended up living in Ansong Pyeongtaek for around, I would say 14 months. And then I decided that I would move to Seoul, near Seoul. I got a job in Seoul after that time, teaching again at a adult hagwon, a private language institute, teaching adult students English, conversational English, that side of things. Some were university students, some were working professionals, etc. Anyway, after about 3 years in Korea, I decided I would end up moving back to the UK. And since I moved back to the UK, I continued with my Korean studies, trying to learn as much as I could about Korean language and culture, and obviously being married to a Korean certainly helped. And as you're aware, I moved back here in August this year. Quite different to the first experience that I experienced when I first came to Korea. And the first time I came to Korea, the first difficulty that I encountered was being very different to everyone else. It was a very homogeneous society. The culture was very unique, very difficult to enter that society, be regarded within that society. And then I carried on. Now this time through, and where are we? We're talking 18 years difference. Within 18 years, Korea's become very internationalized, very, multicultural. There's an awful lot that's available for people to be welcomed into this society. It doesn't matter where you come from or what you do, but it's such a fascinating, welcoming culture. But it's still uniquely Korean. Just behind me here we've got a lovely language school, lovely public schools, beautiful, really nice, and as you can see, rather cold, but it's alright. I'm going to take a left at this corner and I'm going to show you something which is also quite unique for me when it comes down to Korea. Anyway, this time through, Korea's very much an international society. I've not really seen anything so evolved in such a short period of time, but Korea's always been a country where things have evolved very, very quickly. And it's great to see the positiveness. Apologies for the traffic again. I'm going to head to a particular monument on a bridge and show you something which was quite important for you back in 2002. Again, one of those elements which is important for me. And another aspect of Korea that's evolved in that time is how well regarded Korea has become around the world, and how things have become more and more accessible with Korea. I'm really proud to see Korea become more and more internationalized and regarded, and you just need to look at K-pop and drama series, movies and that sort of thing. One of the first Korean movies that I saw was Shiri, and it was a great movie from that time. Anyway, Squid Game, I hear there's going to be a second season. We'll see how things evolve with Squid Game season 2, but we'll have to wait for that one. And there's other elements of Korean culture which have been well received internationally. It's so great to see this, because back in 2005 Korea was relatively unknown, and when I spoke to my work colleagues about my aspirations in the Air Force about moving to Korea, their perspective about Korea was that it would be very much like North Korea, or people living in mud huts and poverty and that side of things. But there are elements of that where there is certainly poverty, but it's not like what people were expecting. Anyway, we're almost at the bridge where I want to show you something which was very important during my early years of learning about Korean culture and that side of things, because the city that I'm living in is Dejon. And if I have a look here, so behind me here we have a sort of monument to the World Cup, FIFA World Cup in 2002. And let me just turn it round, because it wasn't just Korea that hosted, but it was also Japan. And for me, being married to a Korean, there has been some history between Japan and Korea. That's the only way I can say it, really. And for Japan and Korea to host the World Cup back in 2002 was a great insight into how well organised Korea was, as well as Japan. And waking up at 5 in the morning to watch the Koreans play, and they done amazingly well, and I had t-shirts from family and that side of things, so it was great to see. And supporting, we had t-shirts which were like "Go the Reds," and there's a football stadium here in Dejon where I live, the World Cup stadium, which is visible not from here but perhaps my villa where I'm living, and I'll show you a video from that. So that was really my history to South Korea and my history of living back in 2005 and how things have evolved. There's still elements which surprise me, but there's a sort of organised chaos, I suppose I would say, because I'm walking past here, and if I show you, you know, there are elements where rubbish is placed, but it's also collected. It's not just been tipped somewhere, but there's an element of organised chaos where things happen and things are organised in such a way that it's got to be expected. So I'm going to leave it for now because my fingers are freezing. I can barely touch that finger. Ow. And I'm going to head home, but I thought I'd make a video for you, and apologies if I've been on a bit of a rant, but I hope you've enjoyed this style of video. Maybe I'll make another video out and about with the local river, and again it's so nice, the river behind me. It's such a lovely city to live in, and you know, having lived in Seoul or near Seoul, worked in Seoul, and living in Dejon, it's like night and day. You know, Dejon is a relatively unknown city, although the 5th largest city in Korea. Seoul, obviously the capital, and apologies, I'm starting to get quite cold, and I'll wrap up very soon. Seoul, very busy, very chaotic, frenetic, lots of things happening, but in my age, 40 odd years old now, 45, Seoul isn't really the city for me now, and it was when I was in my early 30s, but now in my mid 40s and approaching 50s, I'm quite happy in a quieter city where things happen and there are things to do, and I enjoy that sort of a slower pace of life that is available in Korea. But I'll leave it for today. Thank you ever so much for watching, and I'll see you fairly soon. So take care and stay safe and enjoy. Bye bye.